afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the first episode of a webinar series on work opportunities in a changing environment during and post-COVID. This is hosted by the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica and supported by UNESCO's Information for All program, IFAP. My name is Cordel Green, and it is my privilege to introduce today's webinar, which will explore job prospects in these COVID-19 times. And we know what is going on. Fear, panic, gripping us. Many have lost jobs and feel uncertain about what the future holds. So we're here to offer some hope and advice. We'll be talking about where you can go online to look for jobs, which sectors are likely to be hiring, how to take advantage of online opportunities, and some of the risks in the online space. And not everything will be covered in this first webinar, but we hope to touch on these throughout the series. Before introducing today's presenters, just a few housekeeping rules. We're going to have two presenters, and they have agreed, and we thank them very much, to stay on after their presentation for about 30 minutes to take as many of your questions as possible. So please post your questions in the feed. Now, without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our two presenters. Kim Isava is the General Manager at CaribbeanJobs.com. Kim has a background in communication and media advertising, both in Trinidad and Jamaica, but known globally. And we have as well Lisa Lewis, who is the CEO and founder of Great People Solutions, and a great Jamaican she is. Very proud of her. Lisa is a 2020 awardee from the World HRD Congress for 101 most fabulous global coaching leaders. Isn't that fantastic? So the show is yours, Kim.
Lovely introduction, and thanks to the Broadcast Commission for having me here today to talk about this extremely necessary topic. I understand that there is a bit of panic, probably more than a bit of panic, and we understand that people will want to give in to panic. So what we could do now is maybe show that there is hope, and all hope is not lost. So I'm going to share my screen now, and please let me know as soon as you can see it. Work opportunities in a changing environment during and post-COVID. So what we've done a little bit of research. We've reached out to HR managers across the region, not just in Jamaica, but across the entire CARICOM islands, as well as globally, because we do have websites that we work with outside the Caribbean that are on a global reach. And we realized that there are some top positions trending now. The positions, the titles are not unfamiliar to us, but they've taken on a new lease on life due to what's happening. So I'm just going to, based on the research that we did, I'm going to show you the recruiting trends during COVID-19. And a lot of these will also be quite applicable for post-COVID. When we look at the top 10 positions or titles that people are looking for now, that companies are actually seeking employees for right now, we have sales. Now, sales, again, is not a non-traditional title. It's not something that people are not familiar with. But right now, sales have become important because companies need to get their products sold. As you know, there's going to be consumer fear. So right now, you need to have a strong sales team who's very organized, very experienced. Telesales is going to be important. So if you're a strong salesperson, you have great phone etiquette, great phone skills, you will be in one of those people who can actually be now marketable for a new job. Web developers, again, not a new role, not a new title, but what a lot of companies have realized and what our research has shown, companies have what we call a landing page, where they just have basic information on the company, but it's not functional, it's not interactive. Therefore, a consumer, well, most of the consumers now will be online. A consumer can't interact with your company. And right now, based on the fact that everybody's online, you need to be able to interact. You need to have some kind of proactivity on your website. So web developers have now become very important because people are realizing that their websites have to be more functional and more interactive. Same thing with cybersecurity specialists. At your office, you might have certain virus protectors and certain various scams and implementations on your work emails or your work Wi-Fi. It might not necessarily exist at home. So the challenge for a cybersecurity specialist, which has now suddenly become popular, is if you're working from home and you're using your home internet, how do you protect the company's information? So now the trick and the challenge for the cybersecurity specialist to ensure that your laptops, all of your devices are protected so that the company's information remains protected, although you are working from home and not in the office. Project management. Again, a project manager is not a new position, but workplaces, we have realized across the globe, have to reconfigure their office settings because we need to have that distancing. So project managers have to look at an office space that was a regular office space and change how it looks to make sure that the staff can still fit, but there is that distancing. Also, if we have a return to work and you have 100 staff members, how do you formulate a plan to ensure that everybody's coming back in a safe manner? Do you have it that some team members continue to work remotely? Is it that you're going to have departments now split up? So the project manager position has now taken on a new lease in life because things that didn't exist before are now coming up. Health and safety officers, again, not a new title, it's not a new position, but with all of the new regulations and guidelines coming up by the Ministry of Health, by the Ministry of Labor, normally the health and safety officers were for larger companies that had over 200, 300 employees. You're seeing now a lot of companies that have 50 or 60 employees are realizing that they need to be in line with the regulations that are coming on board. So they need, even if it's on a project basis, health and safety officers are becoming more popular now because they have to make sure that these companies manage the new guidelines that are coming. Are they using the right chemicals? Are they cleaning in the right manner? So their position has now taken on a new lease on life. So they're now one of the top positions that are being sought after. Of course, online marketers and content creators. As the consumers become more online, you need to have a marketer who understands online presence. Now they have marketers there who do FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, and they might be thinking, I don't really have the experience or knowledge for online. Right now, there are several courses. Cordel just mentioned the advantage of online. There are free courses online now. You're home a lot more now. Take advantage and educate yourself so that when work starts back, you have a little more knowledge on that area. Content creators. As we say in the online industry, content is king. So you need to make sure that if you have a website that you're asking people to come to, you have proper content that's functional to the user. Education specialists. Everything is online. Imagine a teacher who used to go into a classroom to teach 20 to 25 people. She's now, or he's now online teaching these students. They're online, they're sitting in front of a computer. The curriculum will have to change somewhat to be more engaging for online. Before, if you're at a classroom and you're engaging because you're there physically in front of them, how do you keep that student engaged while online? So a lot of educators now have to create new education streams and facilities to engage a student online. Imagine a 7-year-old sitting in front of a computer for an hour to be taught. That's a hard task. So the education specialists now have to create a whole new format that probably didn't exist before. Work from home. Now, work from home, most of the websites, most of the job boards, and our job board, for those who don't know, is also a recruitment website, a website that advertises job. So most of these websites already have a work from home field or an industry. But when you talk about work from home, you're speaking of more customer service who can be at home and take calls, telesales, of course, online educators, as I just mentioned. Those are all work from home that didn't exist before, that are now existing and will continue to exist post-COVID. administrative assistants. Now, when I put this there, I had somebody say to me, but that's not a new title at all. How is administrative assistant suddenly becoming important? I have been told just about this week by a company in Montego Bay that all of a sudden now the Ministry of Labor has sent all of these new forms to fill out online. They have all of these different new processes that they have to take on board. They need administrative assistants who are organized, who can manage these online things that didn't exist before. So you're thinking, this is not a new position. Why is it important? It has become very important because now the whole online space and the remote work has proven that you need somebody who can coordinate this. You're doing a meeting, a Zoom meeting like this. Somebody needs to be the manager of this meeting and then send the meeting request. So administrative assistants, very key right now. And counselors. Now, mental health has come up so many times since this whole panic has started. If you are being laid off, if you are being asked to cut your salary, even if you are now suddenly accustomed to working with 20 people on your team and now you're all alone at home working, it does play on your mental health. So a lot of companies are bringing in counselors to work with team members to try and get them to a space where they're a little more comfortable and they have an avenue to talk. Especially if you're a senior manager and you are taking on everyone else's problems, you could be going through quite a bit yourself. So the counselors, we have realized, have become very important for mental health of your team members. So these are some of the top positions. As I said, a lot of them are not new or different, but they have taken on a new lease on life and they've become a lot more relevant, and they will be relevant post-COVID. Now I'm going to take a look at the top industries that are hiring right now. Of course, information technology, as I said, cybersecurity, web developers, they have come as a new meaning now, and they have taken on a whole new lease on life. Finance. Yeah, I feel sorry for a lot of these finance people because we have cost cutting, we have maintaining staff, maintaining different properties, overheads that still exist. So finance has become a very specialized industry now that people are looking for. How do we maintain a staff, cost cutting, all of these different avenues that we are looking at. Of course, pharmacies and pharmaceuticals now, along with the panic of the health scare comes, I need to get more healthy. I need to take more vitamins. So pharmaceutical companies are now actually in very high demand. And this is globally as well. So when I reached out to my global partners in Europe, they also said a lot of these industries are also trending globally in terms of the top industries that are hiring. Teleworking software. Excuse me. For those that don't know what teleworking software is, what we're on now is a teleworking software. So Zoom, your Skypes, those are teleworking softwares. Imagine if this Zoom suddenly goes down. We're going to need a team to fix it for us. So those industries have become very, very important, and the teamwork behind those industries have to pick up, because we don't want to be on a call, online call, and it suddenly drops and we don't know why. Grocery stores, of course, food will always sell. People will always need to eat. So grocery stores have become still one of the top industries right now. Delivery companies, because we're at home, because we have been asked to stay at home and stay safe, delivery companies have become very, very important to us. Of course, cleaning and janitorial companies, coming along with the same health and safety officers, the cleaning of a company has actually now taken on a different meaning. So somebody has to know the right chemicals to use, the right ways to clean a phone or a doorknob or an elevator to ensure that it's maintained at the safety standards that we need it maintained at right now. And of course, educational institutes. Because of the whole online learning now, everybody, all the educational institutes, their people are coming on board now. So there are a lot of free courses online. People are coming on board trying to use this time in a very good way to educate or re-educate themselves. So moving on to the types of resumes. Now, for job seekers out there, and job seekers to us are very important because they are the lifeblood of what we do. So we have to make sure that when you're looking at putting your resume onto a website or a recruitment website, you have the type of resume that is going to attract the attention that you need. So the chronological resume, which is probably the most common in the Caribbean, is when you list the jobs that you've done, starting with your most current position and moving down. And you might end with your qualifications at the end. Now, this works for people who have no gaps in their history. If you've continuously worked, this is a good resume type for you. Functional resume, it highlights your skills and experiences. Now, just to touch on this, not everybody is going to have a degree or a master's or a PhD, but you have experience. If you're an administrative assistant working at the company for 10 years and you've implemented certain functions in that workspace, that experience speaks a lot. And if you have a functional resume to show that you have done these accomplishments, it says a lot for what you can add value to a company. And this, as I said, this works really for people who have gaps in their employment. So if you haven't worked for 2 or 3 years, showcase your experience that you've done, some of your accomplishments. And of course, I have the combination resume that includes both the chronological and the function. Targeted resumes, if you are a financial controller and you have an ACCA level 3, you would cater your resume because that's the area and the career focus that you are on. So touching on the types of resumes, now I'm going to touch on the do's and the don'ts of registering on a job board. And as I said, a job board is a recruitment website. So for those, because that's a very industry term, I realize. So it's a recruitment website, a website that advertises jobs. So some of the important do's. First one is research the job board. There are lots of job boards, lots of job websites out there. My advice would be to register on more than one to give yourself the option and be proactive. But what I would suggest you do before you register, check the website. Make sure it's a valid website. Make sure that you look at the company's mission statement, their values, how long they've been around. Make sure that it's a valid, legitimate website and you're not putting your information on somewhere that you don't know. Have a current and professional email address. Now, you might have a personal email address that says ilovethebeach@gmail.com, and that's fine for your personal. For your professional, it should really be your name. So Cordel Green could be Cordel Green at Gmail. Lisa could be Lisa Lewis at Gmail, but it should be your name. It should be your handle. So it's very professional, very corporate. You don't want to be too personal. So you can have 2 email addresses, one that's personal for your friends and your family, and one that's your professional email address where you're applying for jobs. Have a current resume or CV. Now this might be something like, of course, have a current resume or CV. They have people who have been in the same position for 5 years. They might not have updated their resume because they didn't think there was a need to update their resume, but they're still using their old resume to apply for new jobs. Before you put your resume onto a website, any China job board, make sure it's current. So your current place of employment, your current position, your current duties and accomplishments. It's always better to have it in a PDF document as well. It's just safer for you. Tailor your resume. So tailor it to the career that you want or the career that you want to be in. So don't do a generic resume stating that I have 5 years experience doing administrative assistant. Be a little more detailed so that the person who's viewing your resume can say, okay, this is what this person has done. And Lisa can probably touch on this as well as an HR specialist. Do have a current professional photo. Most of these websites, the recruitment websites, ask you to fill out a profile, and part of the profile would be a professional photo. So you could be at home and you have selfies, you make yourself up, you put yourself together and take a nice professional photo to include it in your profile. It just shows that your profile is complete and you have a little more to offer that employer that's looking. Pay attention to keywords and include them in your profile. Again, if you're a finance person and you have an ACCA qualification, you might want to put that. If somebody is typing in a keyword and it says ACCA, the chance of your profile coming to the top of that pile is better. So make sure you put those keywords in there that is relevant to what you're looking for. Keep your social media updated and appropriate. Now, everybody's okay with everyone having fun. Nobody has a problem with you having a good time, but if it's inappropriate, you can jeopardize somebody calling you in for an interview because they might think, well, this person mightn't fit the culture of my company. So if you are looking for a job, if you're actively looking for a job, be careful what you put on social media. Complete the entire profile. It takes about 5 minutes for most job boards, recruitment websites to complete a profile. You might be tempted to skip 1 or 2 pages or 1 or 2 fields, but try and complete as much as possible, because the employer who's looking, somebody has a 100% completed profile to somebody who has an 80%, they're probably going to focus on the one that has 100%. So try not to jump too far ahead and see if you can complete as much as the profile as possible. Following instructions. Again, you might be thinking, well, I don't want to spend so much time, so I'm going to rush through. Take your time. The reason that a lot of these websites have certain fields or certain instructions is to better your chance of an employer calling you in for an interview. And that's what this is about. Putting yourself on a job board or a recruitment website is to try and get an interview. So the better you do it, the more chance you have of an employer calling you for an interview. Sign up and open an account. And as I said, there are several websites out there that offer recruiting services. Research and sign up for as many as possible to open up yourself. Be as proactive as possible. If you're looking for a job, don't limit yourself. Get out there, sign up, and open up. The don'ts now, and the don'ts are important as the do's. So don't share personal information. Please don't put your address, your home address, any kind of personal information that you might have about your children. Try to keep it as professional as possible. Remember, this is a job that you're going for. Imagine if you are a company, would you hire yourself? That's what you have to think of. So try to be very corporate in what you put out there. Definitely do not share bank account or financial information. That's something that should go without saying, but we are going to say it, because if there are websites there that are asking you to pay or to put your bank information, stop and research that company. Most of the good top job boards will not ask for your financial information. Have long or insulting or inappropriate or unprofessional language, sorry about that. Now, if you were, for some reason, let go from a company, be careful what you say about that company. Employers notice, and they pick up, and HR practitioners and professionals like Lisa can tell you that they pick up on subtle little hints. So if you've been let go from a company and you're trying to be nice and you're trying not to say something bad, but you might let something slip, it is a telling remark to who you are. So be careful. Try to use very professional language when you're registering. Don't leave out your contact information. I guess, again, this should go without saying, but there are several times I have also experienced looking at a resume that's quality resume, no information for contact, no email address, no phone number. That person could be somebody who I wanted to call, but I'm busy, I'm moving forward. So I'm not going to stop and look for your contact information. So please don't leave out any kind of contact information that you have. Don't leave off references. A lot of people put references available on request. If you're applying for a job, more than likely you would have reached out to your references and let them know that you need them to be a reference. So it might be good to include at least one reference in your application, especially if it's somebody who is well known in certain industries. It already bodes well that this person is giving you a reference. So include that person's name. Don't leave sections of your application incomplete. I just spoke on that. The more you have on your profile, the better chance you have of an employer calling you in or calling you for an interview. Don't exclude your grades or accomplishments. As I said, not everybody is going to have a degree, but you have certain accomplishments that you would have done in a position. And if you show those accomplishments, it gives you a better chance of an employer saying, okay, this person can do the job. Let me have a call with them and speak to them and see where they are. Don't include your age, your date of birth, or your marital status. HR professionals have been telling us for years, it takes them about 2 minutes to scan through a resume to see if this is somebody who they want to call. If they're going to take that 2 minutes to read your date of birth or your marital status or how many children you have taken up 10 seconds of a very valuable time where they could be looking at your accomplishments and your qualifications. So try and keep it, again, very professional. Don't include unnecessary information on your CV database. I don't want to be bad, but if you're in your 40s and you played football in your primary level school, that's no longer relevant. So maybe you don't want to include that. And last but not least, don't hit the send button too soon. Stop, pause, review what you have put on your registration, your application, and make sure that it's relevant. Make sure your contact information is correct. One number can be detrimental to somebody calling you. So just take your time, take a couple more minutes, just check before you hit send. Now, just an example of how to register. I'm going to use our site here very quickly. Most websites will have this. There's a register button. If you see it highlighted there in red, look for the register button on websites. That will be the area where you go and you register. Generally, it's your email address that they would use. And that's it for me. Thank you very much from CaribbeanJobs.com. Good luck to all job seekers out there and stay positive.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kim. So I have lost my job, right?
Yes.
Let us say.
Sorry to hear.
Not yet. I've lost
Not yet. No, you're fine.
Thank God. So I'm going to come on your job board.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've done is I've gone on my Facebook. Cordel here. I have a lot of time on my hands. Anybody need something editing? Give me a ding.
Right.
That doesn't affect me when I come to your job board to register formally. You're not going to think anything less of me. That I'm peddling my skills.
No, I like that. We actually like that, because if you're putting yourself, as I said, be proactive. So we are one, but there are several. And if you are proactively looking for a job, go ahead, just turn one-on-one. Use the tools that you have. It's free. Most of these job boards, these recruitment websites, they're free. If you are proactive and you want to put yourself out there, go ahead, register, put it on Facebook. But can't hurt.
All right.
But be professional and appropriate. That's my only thing.
Thanks, Kim. Lisa, the show is yours.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to say, it's so good to be on with Kim. Kim has been a partner for my business from day one. And we really, our go-to place is CaribbeanJobs.com. And everything she said, I completely agree with you. I'll add two things. One, HR, I'm a recruiter. If I'm not a coach and a consultant, I'm a recruiter. I've been in this business now for a while from my HR days. And we actually spend 15 seconds on a CV. It's got to pop. It's got to tell me what you want, you know, because we have a lot. So, you know, what.
Oh, I said 2 minutes, but I was way off.
I know. So I usually tell people it's 15 seconds. And then, you know, you brought up such an interesting topic, Cordel, about the gig economy. I remember many years after going through big companies and people were being made redundant and so on, I just switched my narrative and I said, everybody, whether you have a job or not, have a plan B. Have a thing that you can do. Get something you like. And the whole gig economy is made of that. That's how Uber came about. So you'll find, I know people in Jamaica, they have a job at, you know, whether it's a telecoms company or so, but they have a side gig. They do cleaning services. They have a car that they use, some transport and delivery. And I think we are that way now. And it has really helped people. If I put on my coaching hat now, it helps people to transition. So on that note, I want to thank the Broadcasting Commission. And I too have some slides. I'll just put them up if that's okay. I wear a number of hats, and what I like to do is pull a lot of what Kim says together, because she's so right. And I'll touch on a few of those jobs. But essentially, I'm focusing on you. Where am I going? Where am I now? And how do I close the gap? That's a conversation everybody is having now. And even if you're in a job, people who are in a job are nervous about the job, no matter what it is. So I think it's really important to see how we can get to the point. I'm going to put on my timer so I don't go out of time, that we actually are in a position that we can move from step 1 to step 2 and get to where we want to get to in terms of our next move for the career. This is a conversation I've been in from March. As a HR advisor and a consultant, my clients call me, what is a layoff, Lisa? How are we going to do redundancy? Which one should we choose? You know, I've always thought of downsizing. Do it now. And in people in the hotel industry and in retail and in restaurants, they just got a sign up that said, sorry, we're closed. It's tough. We don't know how this COVID thing is going to last, how long it's going to last. Could it be a month? Could it be 2 months? Could it be 6 months? Could it be 18? At the end of the day, we're going to have to work it out together. But what I did, and I'm going to share this with you, I don't know if you can see the slide at the top. Let me just go back a bit. I had to use a visualization, and I came up with this, and I said, this visualization that COVID is like 4 hurricanes in one. That may be hard, but we have to think about how do we actually make it work for us, in that it could be 4 hurricanes in one, but we know we can survive hurricanes. So I said that it's the medical one. We have to be careful. We're constantly wearing our masks to make sure we don't get it and to protect the vulnerable. And we actually follow all the rules. But the job loss that COVID brought is a bigger hurricane, which is called the economic hurricane. And we have to tackle that and navigate it. We have to figure out what we're going to do for ourselves and our families. And from that, there's a social piece too, because it can be very, very, dehumanizing if you don't have food. It can be very hard for a family, and sometimes we'll have, well, I can't say sometimes, certainly with a lot of job loss, we're going to have more crime. So our normal way of living, the new normals come into place. And of course, health is very important. And then, Kim even covered this, the technological storm that has always been there and never went away. So as companies, as CEOs, as a government, as individuals and heads of households, we have to tackle all 4. This is what it has landed on our lap, and we have to tackle all 4. And I'm not fazed by it, because I know when it comes to hurricanes, Jamaica stands out. We will get up and start sweeping up before the breeze stops blowing. So as long as we know what it is, we can manage. So I say step back. And as a coach, I say step back, take a pause. Take a pause, breathe. It's time to tap into your personal power now. You have a resilience in you, and it's important to tap into that now and make your way through this new set of training and careers. So as a consultant, I usually, when I'm doing outplacement coaching with persons who have lost jobs, or if it's even grieving, I use a chart like this. And it's a it has a downward dip. It can even dip to what is at the bottom where you have, depression, and it can go up as well. And that's where we want to go. So I'm just going to read the words that come about. These are emotions that we feel. And it may not be us, but we know our best friend lost a job, or somebody in our family or our neighborhood. So they're going to feel shock. They may even feel denial. Certainly frustration is something that comes up a lot when people lose jobs. Depression is something we have to guard against. You wake up and it's like grieving. I lost my way of life. That is normal. I think we just have to step back and realize that, talking about it, sharing our experiences, reaching out for help is the biggest thing you can do to not sink too low. But after a while, you start to experiment. And then you're going to have to make some decisions. So experimentation can come with that gig economy job. I'm going to do some driving on the side. I was working as a secretary, but guess what? I know I can do some deliveries. So you may start to experiment with things like that, make a decision, and then put it as part of your CV, integrate it into your next step. So this curve, the whole idea is that we don't want to stay down here. You want to go from here, acknowledge what you just went through, and start climbing this curve, because this is where we live as Jamaicans. This is where we are. We're very resourceful, and we make decisions and we move on. So if this is this big thing called 4 hurricanes in one, and of course we know we have other hurricane season coming, it calls for us to be extraordinary. It calls for us to think and act differently. And I say with agility. So we have to be agile. We have to be fast. We are the number 1 in the world for the 100 meters. This is a time that we can't sit down now. We have to move fast. And so if I were to share with you a tool that I always share when people are going through any outplacement, is that you have to dig deep. The first thing you want is some normalcy. Look into your motivations. What is the strength I have had? Whether it is when I had a hurricane and after, speak to parents. If you were too young, I'm sure most persons listening were not around. September the 12th, 1988. That was actually going into my second job, so I know it. And at the end of the day, you want to know that you can pull on all your resources, all your community resources. What's my biggest motivation? I need to survive this thing. write it down. Write down all your strengths and actions. Do it as a family, because this is not something to go through alone. And at that point in time, you're now coming up that curve. Where are the jobs now? Kim gave an excellent list. I couldn't give a better list. I started making my list and I said, you know, obviously, first of all, we all have to be salespeople. Even if we're not selling, we have to be able to sell ourselves. That's why we have to do a CV, and we're going to come to that. But certainly the jobs that are there, I have seen where the BPO or the call centers, those are jobs. They are going to be coming back and they are going to grow in Jamaica. So if you never thought of that industry, that's a great industry to consider. They give excellent training. And at this point in time, just before COVID, they were the fastest growing job area in Jamaica. Hotels are going to come back and they're going to need new skills. They're going to need bilingual skills as well. Food has always been there. You're going to, anybody who does foods and anybody who does exports, that's a company I want to be calling. I want to call and find out where are the jobs that are coming and start preparing for that. The health industry. You're absolutely right, Kim. I am writing as a consultant and reviewing protocols for the new and post-COVID environment. So if you're into anything like health inspection, quality, health services, environment, those are the kind of jobs that may very well need people now. And I do finance jobs as well and HR jobs. Those are jobs that have come up, but you have to be a different kind of finance person. You have to understand procurement. Or if you're an HR person who can do everything online. Tourism, education, any job that's virtual is a job, and probably a job you can get today. So don't only think about Jamaica, think about jobs outside of Jamaica. And I'm saying from farm work jobs, the first country that said, listen, I need farm workers, I saw was Canada. I was elated when I saw people going for those farm work jobs. There are virtual jobs as well. I think, Cordel, you mentioned one. So those are jobs that you can actually do editing online. These are jobs that we have to kind of figure out, how can we do it? So it might not be an employer in Jamaica, but once you have done your validation, once you got that job on a reputable job board, a job site, you'll find that you would be qualified for that job. So in a sense, I always say, this terrible situation we are in, there's always an opportunity. In the past, they wanted you to come to the country and work in that country, and then you realize, wow, I'm not going to get that job because I need a visa, a work permit, and so on. I don't think people are looking for that. No, people want jobs wherever you are because I can do the job virtually. So I think we have to also start looking on that. And I am going to be looking on that more, even more with Kim, and seeing how we can see where those jobs are for Jamaicans, because we need all of Jamaica working. So when you're looking on the opportunities, you're going to have to have some realities. You don't want to be stressing about these things and not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. So here is where you need to be agile. Make your list, make your budget, rent, medical, go renegotiate your rent, go and renegotiate your loans, make sure people know you don't have a job. If you happen to be in a position of a layoff, no income, no job, or you lost one income in the household, act fast. You don't get what you don't ask for. Maybe you need to move in with family. Maybe you need to go to the country for a while. I said that all along, my whole career. I know exactly where in the country I'm from, and I would go right back there if I didn't have anything and come back when the job comes back. So I think at the end of the day, these are things you have to look on. Sorry, it went a bit fast, but this was my next slide. Two things I always say, when you're in a real bind, extraordinary thinking, extraordinary actions. Assess your options. Where are the jobs? Where are those opportunities now? I went through a list, and Kim went through a list. Keep checking that Caribbean job site. Keep looking on things like Indeed, other job boards that are out there, so that you can actually see what is happening and see the trends, because some of the trends abroad end up coming here. So you want to bear that in mind. And, you know, if you need support, don't hesitate to ask. If you have lost your job, there is a whole program the Ministry of Finance has put about. The money might be small, go and apply. Set cash, best cash, compassionate grants. That money is out there for Jamaicans to access. It's easy to access. Go online and look on it and see what you can get for you and your family. And then number 4 on this list is the most important, new skills. You can't come out of this with the same things. You may have a gig job, which is a side gig. That's where that word came from. It's a gig economy. So you do something in a day and you do a little freelancing at night. You're right to ask that question, Cordel, and Kim answered as well. We don't look on that. Years ago, people looked down on those things. That's not so anymore. As long as it's legal, we look up on that because we're getting a resourceful employee. So look on your new skills, look on what you can get, and convert that extraordinary thinking into extraordinary actions. Create a great vision for yourself. So you see those little dominoes in the picture, you can stop that domino effect. It's up to you. Make the shift, your mindset shift. You're going to find new opportunities and all the skills out there. There's so much you can learn that's free, all the digital skills. Go online. You are able to go and teach yourself how to use those tools that Kim spoke about for sure. There's Skype, there's Zoom, all of the new ones, whether they are Team and Microsoft Teams, they're collaborative tools. I always say to adults, if you do not know the tools, ask a child. They're the best persons to teach us because first of all, we can be ourselves in front of them and they can teach us anything. If you heard from a coworker, learn this particular software. This software is great for being a project manager. All you have to ask is your kid, and I can guarantee you they're going to figure it out for you. So learn new skills. Under no circumstances should you go through any part of COVID, whether it's a week without a job, a month without a job, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or even 18 months. You have to make sure your resume keeps growing. Because the number one issue we're looking for is employability. You might not get the employment immediately, but we want to get the employability as soon as possible. So take that big step. So I'll just end with a couple of things. Work from home. Everybody is doing the WFH, working from home. I've been working from home for years. You know, every now and again I have to adjust my little office. Just before this thing came on, a picture fell off the wall. I just make the adjustments and keep going. It's a new normal. So you want to make sure that you can continue to just get your little space in your house. It may not be perfect. Make sure you have some rules in place that people don't disturb you. And that is your area of working from home. Everybody needs to have a little spot for working from home. No, not all jobs can work from home. So you have persons who are in the salon, barbers, etc. Now is the time to create some YouTube videos. You can use your phone. You can start to make little video clips that you can send to your clients. I would love to hear from my manicurist. I'm going to have a bigger connection with her. I want to hear from the person who does my hair, which of course is not so cool today. But as you can see, I want to go to them first if I hear from them. So one of the things is make working from home the new normal or the new way of getting to your person so they can know you're still around and you're still interested in providing services to them. So that's a new normal. I definitely say whatever employers are looking for in terms of new skills, they're looking for it online. And I'm giving you a quick story. And this may link into what we spoke about earlier, Cordel and Kim. You know, a client said, well, I'm looking for a driver. Where do I look for that person's, in that talent? I said, have you tried LinkedIn? They said, no, LinkedIn is for, and it was an outplacement group. LinkedIn is actually an area that maybe we only have high level professionals. I said, really? Well, let's type it in, driver in Jamaica. And up popped all these resumes and all of these profiles with a lady driver at the top of the list. I can guarantee you she got most of the calls. She probably, because she had such a good profile and you had her picture there. And then I said, wow, a lady driver, I'm interested in her. So you find that these are jobs now that you're going to use LinkedIn and places like that to be able to come up into so recruiters can see you. So don't be afraid to use the job boards. Go into CaribbeanJobs.com. Make sure you're registered because people are looking for you online. What Kim said is true. Refresh your CV. Make sure that your online presence is strong. Stand out. You know, I only have 15 seconds to look on a CV, so make sure that your achievements are there. And your CV can be dynamic. So if I happen to be looking for an agricultural type job and you did an agricultural project, you were in the 4-H and so on, make sure that's very prominent, because I want to be able to look for you in that light. And I want to see the things that you're doing that make you interesting. I want to bring your attention to the last bullet. Build your personal network. Call your old boss, the boss before that boss. Make sure you keep great connections. Make sure your pastor knows that you're looking for a job. Make sure your pastor knows you have a car and will do deliveries. Make sure that the health center nearby also knows. Volunteer. You never know which connection comes up. Since March, I've been doing a lot of free work and volunteering. And I can tell you, all I want to know is that when the jobs come up, they call me first. And every week I get a call for some job. So I know that it works. Don't worry about volunteering. Help people, pay forward, and it will come back to you for sure. So your personal network is very important, and make sure you stay in touch. This picture goes without saying. I know the fact that you tuned into this, you want to help yourself. And of course, standing out is part of being able to be called. So I think it's important to follow some of these tips, and of course, keep talking to people, because your story is interesting and people want to hear it, but certainly put your best foot forward, because COVID is a difficult situation, but it's not insurmountable for us in Jamaica. And on that note, I would say, if there's a word that comes up, it's productivity. The countries grow because of productive use of labor and capital. We need to do our part to make sure we're highly productive in Jamaica. So build a new career if you have to, refresh your career with new skills and new capabilities, and I know you got this. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much, and please keep safe for you and your families. And at the end of the day, we are here to support. And again, I just want to say thank you very much for opportunity, Cordel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We can see why in the HRD world, you're considered in the top 100, and not just in the top 100, but the fabulous ones in the top 100.
Wow. You're a good marketer, Cordel.
Oh, is that so? Well, I'm going to put that on my resume.
That's right.
When this is done, I'm putting something up in social media.
Yes.
Have a job now, but just in case,
yes,
a marketer is here. Thank you both very much. As far as I'm concerned, Kim, we can put you also in the 101 most fabulous job placement CEOs.
I'm holding on to Lisa's coattails.
She's my favorite. We're going to make this work.
I want to thank you ladies so much for sharing.
Thank you.
It's a lot of information. We hope the viewers found it to be valuable.
Yes.
The Broadcasting Commission and UNESCO's IFAP are collaborating on these series to help people get connected and find some direction in these uncertain times. Remember to use the online space carefully, as there has been an alarming prevalence of fake news, online scamming, and security breaches. And we're going to address some of these in future webinars. The presenters, Lisa and Kim, will now be answering your questions for the next 30 minutes. We hope to see you again for our next webinar. Thank you and stay safe.